Let's get this thing going.
Check 1, 2.
The Hip Hop Study Hall podcast with DJ Eakin starts now.
About hip hop.
Feeling kind of freshly dipped here, just for everybody that happens to peep this on a YouTube clip or on Instagram. I know I feel freshly dipped here today. I am not even 3 hours out of the barber chair, so I'm kind of going to be hard to deal with today. Shaman DJ Eakin, Tampa's most connected DJ. You are tuned in, and it's popping off right now, the Hip Hop Study Hall podcast. Shout out to everybody too who's been rocking with us, and everybody who's writing me asking me how I got Jim Jones on the pod. I'm not even gonna dignify that with an answer. Don't act like I ain't popping in these streets, all right? That's what they not gonna do, is act like I'm not popping in these streets, all right? But big up to everybody that tunes in and is rocking with us, and we hoping that you are learning as much as I'm trying to every single week, all right? This week it's kind of interesting because a little something hit me on Instagram. And I'm not even going to go through the news that with a blur today because I'll get back to that later. But I definitely want to go and get these two ladies on because something hit me on the gram this week. And I was like, I want to address this. But I don't know if I should be the authority on addressing this, right? So I was like, let me reach out to a couple of people that I know are popping that can help me out, help me understand. And first off, I got my girl Nikki Hutch on here, who is freelance writer extraordinaire and also co-host of the You're Not Wrong podcast, is here. And yeah, my girl Nikki Hutch. Thank you for taking the time. And of course,
no problem.
I give it 6 months. She'll be tired of me calling her my little sister, but that's what she is. Brand and marketing director, and of course, the love of my life, my little sister right here. Miss Brianna Blandford, your girl Bree, as we like to call her here on the pod. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time. Let's get into it. Okay, so we know what the industry is. We all are some way, some form. We either enjoy it, we either deal with it, or we're somewhere in this life somehow, right? And being that this platform to me is one that I figure the next generation of creatives, I want them to very much be tuned into. I also want them to see. I wouldn't call this a bad thing in the industry at person. I don't know what to call it, but it's something that is definitely that goes on in the industry, right? We know it's been there. It's been the elephant in the room a few times and a lot of times, right? But let me just get into what the post is. And the post came from originally, her name is Chris Holt. And I don't know Chris Holt. I just know that she's a marketing and advertising person, and she has some really dope content on Instagram that I follow. And also Miss Ivory Shields, who's an actress. They both were involved in this post, right? And the post, it goes like this. Negative promotion of dark-skinned women versus positive promotion of light-skinned women is marketing at its finest. Now, before I go any further with that, do either one of y'all just want to jump in here? Does anybody want? Because I can go further into the post and why it resonated with me and made me think that this is something I wanted to talk about. But just when you get that part right there, anybody comment?
I'm gonna say I agree with her on sort of the surface level, right? I mean, I do think that, we see this with, I'm going to just say Martin, for example, one of the shows that I grew up on. I mean, he had Gina, who was his love interest and the love of his life. And then Pam was the dark-skinned, brown-skinned friend who he clowned all the time, right? So it's like I feel like it may be an oversimplification, though, because I think maybe we've gone past that a little bit nowadays with the likes of Issa Rae. So I'm going to say I agree with her, but I think it goes a little bit deeper.
Yeah, touching to the point, I completely agree with what she's saying in a sense, but I think we've seen something different in marketing in the last year or two. I think the need for Black voices and Black people in ranges of color, shapes, and sizes has become the in thing. We've seen, a difference even in social media and the trends that people are following. In the sense, when you look at a TikTok and you look at the trends, they love authenticity, people who look like them and sound like them. And that's not always the skinniest girl in the room with the light skinned and whatever. So I think it's been that way. But I think now there's been a spark in marketing where there's a need. People want to see authenticity. They want to see people who they can relate to. So I think it goes deeper than what just the surface is, for sure.
Well, before I get deeper into this point, right, let's talk about the age group thing, right? And I'm asking this question because it seems like to me the more days that pass by, the more all of our races and nationalities seem to be getting mixed up. And by that, I mean, interracial dating. And nowadays, I think that a lot of these kids the younger they are, until they're really taught certain things, they're not really seeing color because all they see is what they like. Let's take hip hop music, for instance. Like, hip hop is not as big as it is if everybody ain't all in, right? So I say that to say, to Bree's point, being a little younger than you are, Nicole, like you said, we both grew up on Martin, right? Even with Martin, I will say the one thing that they did do right when it came to Pam, but she did have this, like, her and Gina were in the office together. Like, so Pam wasn't just some, like, she was still a young professional. Her and Martin just kind of always went at it. But when you look at today, right, and what Bree's point is about, like, a TikTok and authenticity, do you think that is really, like, from a marketing person saying this is what they're looking for, or just the generation that's now saying we gonna be out here regardless, you can't stop us? Because even if you talk about TikTok, isn't what's going on right now is TikTok is not being fair when it comes to the darker complexion as opposed to lighter complexion people?
I think when it comes to TikTok, one of the things that I've seen come about is just not giving credit to Black voices and Black talent and Black creators. And when it came to, like, the dance challenges, you had these Black choreographers creating the challenge, but then other people are, blowing up and becoming mainstream. I think there has been a shift, just in the simple fact of, I feel like, I'll give him a shout out. My a close friend of mine who grew up in Tampa, Slayed by Matthew. I've seen his growth tremendously from starting with, like, maybe 3,000 followers on Instagram, but just because he was authentic and he's a darker skinned, living in his truth, fully in his, brand and everything like that. But he's a hairstylist. He did a video with one of his homegirls paired up, and it went crazy. And people just love him because he's authentic. He's who he is. And I don't think it's about, stereotypes or archetypes. I think it's about just owning your truth and who you are. I think that's what people like to see nowadays. I do think over time it's shifted. I think in the beginning there was a separation. I mean, even when I was younger, I used to, like, slick my hair back with extra gel so people didn't see my curls because I wanted to fit in as mixed. So I feel like I've even seen a shift in just, Blackness is bold and beautiful. Like, we out here. And I've seen that change and shift in marketing tremendously.
I know you're trying to get it, all the latest and greatest content from Hip Hop Study Hall, right? You're trying to get your hands on that? It's DJ Eakin, man. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, all right? Get the alerts. Hit that subscribe button now.